How Not to Marry a Welshman and Other Success Stories. Chapter 4. The Older Woman, the Non-Cougar Variety. Dinmum had great patience. She had once, in junior high, ripped out a water bottle project over 10 times and completed it in the end. She got that from her great-grandfather, along with his eyes, which was probably why she appreciated both, because they were both somewhat unusual qualities, but also she did not think much about them in general. When you have patience, you do not think about it or the lack of it, and when your eyes are blue cerulean, you do not really think about them either, because you are looking out of them into the world, not into them from the world. She only really thought about her patience or her eyes when someone commented on them. She would shrug off the patience compliment with a mutter, and the eye compliments with a blunt, "They are my grandpa's." This invariably would leave people confused and bewildered, as if, instead of genetically inheriting them, she had gone up and absconded them from him, taking them for herself. Humans were weird, Dinmum concluded. Dinmum thought humans were weird about a lot of things, like, for example, age gaps. Living in Thailand for a while as she had seen a great many age gaps, and she was none too impressed by them, very White Lotusy. When an older man selects a significantly younger woman, it doesn't balance any survival statistics. It drastically skews them further. It ensures that the younger partner will most likely spend a massive portion of her later years running a caregiver script or navigating a solitary fortress. Therefore, Dinmum recognized that with most older men, the motivation likely stems from a public standard square ego scripts, rather than a logical optimization of their shared, albeit limited time with their much younger partner. However, Dinmum was not entirely against age gaps, as she believed in wildcards. Her primary ones in the age gap formula consisted of two distinct types: the older woman, non-cougar variety, and the muffin man leprechaun with emotional merit. The older woman, non-cougar variety, to be honest, Dinmum assumed she might someday be this type, not because she set out to be at all, but because it was what seemed the most statistically likely given the cold facts. The older woman, non-cougar variety, is simply a woman who ends up with a much younger male partner. Women tend to live a much longer than men, outliving their partners by an average of 5 to 8 years. Running a hard actuarial diagnostic loop on human relationships instead of standard societal gossip risk, it made perfect sense to want to even out the odds of your relationship lasting with someone as long as possible. Dinmum had lost her parents before the global pandemic of COVID-19 had swept the world. Even before losing them, her dad had walked out on all but primarily monetary influence when she was around 10. When her mother fell ill when Dinmum was 14, it led Dinmum to spend her life, and from then until 30, caring for her mother and helping to raise her much younger sibling. Then, Dinmum's sibling was tragically lost at the start of the pandemic, never having had a strong constitution and being lost not to the virus, but to addiction exacerbated by the lockdowns, which was not only difficult to weather, but hard for Dinmum to compute, since she never drank or done drugs in her life, and when she lost her brilliant sibling, and who she had thought of as her friend for life, ride and live, because ride and die to things she did not understand or prepare for, it broke her in a way she could not explain, and which she did heal from, that left her changed forever in its wake. Thus, by the time Dinmum was 31, she found herself alone in the world, having weathered more than most people twice her age in loss, not to mention the chaos before those losses. However, Dinmum was made of different metal than most. She had to be programmed to survive like a thoughtful, independently powered robot. This was probably why she had loved Spock and Data in Star Trek, and Eleanor Dashwood and Ange Lee in Emma Thompson's Sense and Sensibility. While the public square busybody ran dramatic, low-integrity scripts about the aesthetics or social expectations of age gap, her mind bypassed the noise entirely. She looked directly at the baseline survival data. If she was going to love, darn it, she did not want someone else to die on her down the road. When a woman pairs with a younger man, she is essentially leveling the demographic playing field. Dinmum understood leveling the playing field. Her brain looked at the configuration and deduced optimizing timelines when possible seems a good plan. If you do select a partner, rather than just leaving it up to fate, selecting a partner whose biological warranty matches so you can comfortably flop on the couch together for a maximum number of years seems dead level practical. In addition, being in her 30s, Dinmum found her peers stuck in tedious baseline, caught in the absolute thick of high-stimulus, hyper-transactional mainstream matrix. They consumed their days with arbitrary competitions or complaining about their lives without doing the basic infrastructure work to fix them. To a hobbit elf who just wants to listen, create things in peace, and avoid performative noise, watching adults in their 30s and 40s chase those exhausting low-integrity scripts was the definition of tedious. It was just bad software running on a loop. They were mostly deeply bogged down by corporate ego preservation, keeping up appearances for the neighbors, and running superficial parenting scripts. Frankly, Dinmum had zero patience for it. This was precisely why most of her friends were children, in their 20s or in their 50s, long past the stages of tedious mayhem. In the case of the older woman, the non-cougar variety, it seemed to Dinmum a pure decision of high-fidelity long-term planning. Nothing more, nothing less.